My name is George Shultz, and I am an active member of the Stanford University's Hoover Institution. This is a very lively place with people with interests of all kinds and a history of interacting with each other. So we learn, we get policy positions straightened around, and we write things that people read. So I love it here. Besides that, I'm a United States Marine, and I've had the privilege of serving not only in combat in the Marine Corps, but at the President's Council of Economic Advisors, President Eisenhower. And then I had 4 different cabinet jobs: Secretary of Labor, Director of the Office of Management and Budget, Secretary of Treasury, and Secretary of State. I also had the privilege of being president of a large engineering and construction company, Bechtel. Great company, and I learned a lot from that experience. At the end of World War II, some gifted people with names like Truman, Atchison, Marshall, Clayton looked back, and what did they see? They saw 2 world wars. The second one started as a result of rather vindictive terms in the settlement of the first. They saw 60 million people were killed in the Second World War. They saw the Holocaust. They saw the Great Depression and the protectionism and currency manipulation that aggravated it. And they said to themselves, what a crummy world. And we are part of it, whether we like it or not. And they set out to do something better. First, there was the Bretton Woods meeting. It's important to remember there were 44 countries at Bretton Woods. This was not the U.S. dictating things. This was the U.S. giving some leadership and creating international consensus. Then came the Cold War and NATO, and we struggled along. And by the time the Cold War ended, I think it was fair to say that there had been created, with a lot of leadership from the United States, a security and economic commons from which everybody benefited. That commons has been falling apart, and somehow we don't seem to be caring. We should care, because it affects us. What happens in other countries has an impact here. Security impact, climate impact, economic impact. So it's important to think about recreating some sort of an international commons. And the only way that will happen, as far as I can see, is for the United States to take some leadership and be part of a group of countries that work at it carefully together. We have organized what's called boot camp in order to reach out to other areas and have people get exposed to the ideas that we have, argue about them, the method of going about things. When you hear the word boot camp, for me, I remember my boot camp in the Marine Corps at the start of World War II. And I can remember several important things I learned. One of them was the sergeant hands me my rifle, and he says, take good care of this rifle. This is your best friend. And remember one thing, never point this rifle at anybody unless you're willing to pull the trigger. No empty threats. I told that story to President Reagan, and we tried to follow it very carefully. And I can remember times in the Situation Room where somebody would say, that's unacceptable. And he would say, well, what are you going to do if it happens? The answer is nothing. It's not unacceptable. You accepted it. So say what you mean what you say, and then people will pay attention to you. Boot camp wisdom. I think one of the important duties you have to yourself as you live your life is to learn from the experiences you have. Everybody has experiences, some dramatic, some not so consequential, but nevertheless, they're your experiences. So what did you learn from that experience? And sometimes people learn, other times people don't pay any attention. They miss out when they do that, because learning is comes from realizing the things that happen as a result of experiences. And those are the things you operate on as you go along. To learn more, please watch the accompanying video.